Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into it, opening up the files on a campaign known in the source material as the Texas Storm. This is that intense period when Mack Bolan, the executioner, takes his personal war machine right into the heart of the Lone Star State.
Yeah, and it's crucial to understand this isn't just, breaking up some local rackets.
No, not at all. We're looking at deep institutional corruption, the terrifying power dynamics around global resources. It's bigger.
Absolutely right. When Bolan hits Texas, the Mafia isn't just shaking down shops anymore. They're actually trying a full-on strategic economic and political takeover.
Right.
So to really grasp this deep dive, you've got to get inside Bolan's head first. Understand his core philosophy, because that's what's driving everything here.
Okay, good point. Let's analyze that engine first. So we know Bolan, he's 30, career soldier, Vietnam hardened, comes home, finds his family parents, teenage sister just brutally wiped out by Mafia terrorism. How does that shape his response? What defines it?
Well, his response it's defined by this cold, almost detached military professionalism. But he's applying it to what he sees as a total societal collapse, at least regarding the mob.
Right. He sees the system failing.
Exactly. The legal system just can't touch the kind of endemic corruption the mob represents. So he declares his own war, a personal one.
And that mantra he has.
Yeah, the one quoted all the time in the sources. It's not about finding justice in the legal sense. It's about delivering certainty. I am not their judge. I am their judgment.
That really is a fundamental distinction, isn't it? He's not trying to fix the system from within. He's acting like this inevitable force, a reaction to the mob's existence.
Precisely. He sees the whole conflict as unavoidable. To him, the Mafia is like a cancer on society, just thieves, plunderers.
And he's the surgeon.
Kind of, yeah. He sees himself as the necessary counterforce. It's not really about idealism, more this grim acceptance that he's applying a kind of final justice where the law's been made, impotent.
And thinking about the scale of the enemy, I mean, the entire structure of La Cosa Nostra, his approach has to be really systematic, right? What's his formula?
It's pure guerrilla warfare doctrine, something he perfected over, 17 pitched battles before this, across the U.S., even into Europe, the Caribbean.
Wow.
And the formula itself, it's starkly simple. Identify, then infiltrate or isolate, and finally, destroy.
Simple, but effective.
Well, the beauty of it is this flexibility. It lets one guy theoretically start dismantling organizations with hundreds of members.
And yet, despite all that success, the source material always stresses how hopeless his war actually is. He's called a living dead man. Why keep fighting a war you apparently can't win?
That sense of hopelessness is actually kind of central to who he is. Think about it. For every gangster he takes out, 10 more ambitious ones are ready to jump in. The odds against him just keep stacking up exponentially.
So what's the point?
The real win for Bolan, it isn't wiping out the entire Mafia. He knows that's impossible. It's proving they're vulnerable. His constant pressure, these relentless attacks, they force the mob out of the shadows into the open.
Okay.
And that gives the actual legal system, guys like Bragnola, a chance to move in and clean up the pieces afterward. He keeps fighting because the only alternative is surrender. And for Bolan, surrendering to the mob's terror, that's just unthinkable.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly. That desperate commitment is what brings him to Texas. So let's get into the campaign itself, the execution, starting with that first strike. Night at dawn, the Clingman's Wells Blitz.
Right.
How does he even get started? He needs help, right? His support structure must be key here.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Bolan relies totally on specialist allies, primarily Jack Grimaldi.
The pilot?
The pilot, yeah. Dark, handsome, young vet. Started out as an enemy, interestingly, but now he's Bolan's go-to for logistics, transport, everything.
And they're flying in low in a Cessna.
A sleek twin-engine Cessna. And the level of planning right from the start tells you this isn't some random hit and run. This is military precision.
Grimaldi's job is all about that precision flying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Low over the plains.
It's terrifyingly precise. They're landing on this rough dirt strip near Clingman's Wells, and Bolan's instruction is crystal clear. Keep it on the numbers, Jack. Give me 90. Exactly.
90 seconds.
90 seconds. From the moment the wheels touch down to a full controlled stop, he needs the plane perfectly positioned, engine ready for an immediate escape before the enemy even figures out what hit them.
Wow. Okay, now Bolan himself, his gear, because what he carries tells you a lot about the plan, doesn't it?
Definitely. He's in the classic executioner black combat gear, tight-fitting, face, hands smeared black, no reflections, total stealth mode.
And the weapons for this particular job.
He brings two main systems, sort of complementary. For the infiltration, the silent work, he's got the shoulder-slung 9mm Beretta Brigadier.
The belt.
That's the one he calls the belt, yeah. Affectionately. It's suppressed, obviously. Designed for quiet takedowns. But then, for his main sidearm...
Something with more punch.
Oh, yeah. He's packing the .44 automag, a beast of a handgun. And it's loaded with something very specific for this mission. Scatter loads of fine buckshot.
Scatter loads. In a .44 automag. What's the thinking there?
Well, the automag is already an incredibly powerful weapon, like a hand cannon. Loading it with scatter loads basically turns it into a high-powered, short-range shotgun.
Okay.
So it's not for sniping. It's optimized for immediate, overwhelming shock effect at close range. Clearing rooms, shattering resistance in tight spots. It signals that while he starts with stealth, he fully expects, maybe even wants maximum chaos once things go loud.
Then the target itself's Klingman's Wells. It's symbolic of this whole bigger conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
It used to be this rich, independent oil lease.
Exactly. But it's gone out of production, been taken over, repurposed as a key Mafia center point.
Which tells Bolan.
Instantly. He figures whatever they're doing there now must be, and I quote, more profitable and therefore more desirable than the harvesting of fossil fuels.
So, not just routine crime. Resource control. Strategic planning.
Right. This isn't just some local clubhouse. It's a nerve center for something much bigger.
Okay, the infiltration. Described as silent lightning. How does he use the environment to get that initial edge?
He plays the transitions. He hits them right at that moment, dividing night from day. Dawn. The guards have been up all night. Their awareness is at its lowest ebb.
Smart.
Plus, Grimaldi gives him extra cover. The plane lands dead stick, kicking up this huge dust screen. Bolan uses that cover to sprint towards the compound perimeter.
Takes out the immediate threat surgically.
Absolutely. The suppressed Beretta, the bell, takes out the main floodlight. The source material describes the sound beautifully, just a quiet coughing, absorbed by the explosive shattering of the floodlight. Then he closes the distance, moving through that gray dawn light. Silent takedowns. Martial arts crack a spine. Or maybe that quick little 9mm zinger, as the book calls it, right between the teeth. Very clean, very quiet.
Until it isn't quiet anymore. He switches to the automag, and the chaos begins.
Right. And that transition is marked by him tossing a grenade, hitting the aviation fuel storage.
For its diversion.
More than that, it's the launch of the Blitzkrieg assault. That secondary explosion just rips through the place, starts the panic, throws the defenses into disarray. But then the mission immediately takes a sharp turn when he finds what he was really looking for.
Judith Klingman, the oilman's daughter, locked up.
Yeah. Finds her locked in a bedroom, naked, drugged, sort of semi-comatose. But she manages to confirm who she is. Suddenly, this isn't a simple intel grab or sabotage mission anymore. It's a rescue. And extraction just got way more complicated.
The getaway sounds hairy.
Pure desperation. Grimaldi has to bring the Cessna in incredibly close, like within 100 feet of flaming fuel tanks and debris. Takes off just barely clearing the fence, misses a drilling tower by inches. They get out. But interestingly, Bolan flags the mission internally, considers it scrubbed out at Target Central.
Scrubbed. But he got the target, Judith Klingman. Why call it a failure?
Because of the non-combatants he found inside.
Oh.
During the assault, moving through the compound, he discovers there are Mexican garrison workers there, including women, old men, even children, basically being used as cheap labor, maybe even human shields.
And that violates his code.
Absolutely. Bolan's ethical code, it comes straight out of his military background, and it's ironclad.
Okay.
You don't punish the innocent. He went in looking for the bad guys, but he came out carrying a problem, a vulnerable hostage, and this feeling of tactical failure because his blitz inevitably caused collateral disruption to people just caught in the middle.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That even in this brutal war, he holds that line.
He has to. If he starts killing the innocent intentionally or recklessly, then what's the difference between him and the people he's hunting? He becomes the monster.
Okay, so he's out.
Yeah.
Narrow escape from Klingman's Wells, and now the mob knows. The executioner is definitely in Texas. Which leads us nicely into Section 2, counter moves and the emerging threat. How fast does the Mafia leadership react?
Well, on site, it's immediate chaos and fury. Jim Tolucci, the guy in charge there, he survives the initial blast, but he's completely rattled, gets a major concussion.
Tolucci.
Yeah, and the source material notes his voice is this gravely basso growl. It mentions it's not just deep, it's because of an old throat injury. So this guy's already physically scarred, probably psychologically unstable even before Bolan showed up.
But he's just the site boss. The real power in Texas lies higher up, with Joseph Jaunty Joe Quaso, right? Tell us about him, this new breed of mafioso.
Kawaso is interesting. He's young, only 28, definitely the future of the mob, or so they think. He's got ties back to Detroit, but the really critical thing is his commissioning appointment, meaning his authority comes straight from the top, the national mafia ruling body. He's not just some local capo who worked his way up. He's the official representative of national organized crime in Texas, and he's running the whole territory from this ridiculously opulent penthouse in Dallas. Costs like $1,100 a month back then, which was serious money.
And the HQ itself is described as pretty decadent. Revolving bed, bar, CCTV.
Yeah, all the bells and whistles, Playboy bed, built-in bar, closed-circuit video everywhere. But the really chilling detail, the one that shows the systemic nature of their corruption in Texas, is the Super Chick Corps.
The Super Chick Corps, what exactly was that?
It sounds like something out of a bad spy movie, but it was deadly serious. These weren't just women for Quaso's pleasure. They were a key tool for leverage. Clout.
How so?
They were used to entertain, bribe, and most importantly, compromise high-ranking local officials. Judges, politicians, key industry figures. People whose cooperation the mob needed.
And the video cameras.
That's where the closed-circuit video comes in. They videotaped the sexual encounters. Compromise, basically. Blackmail material. It guarantees silence. Guarantees compliance from crucial figures who might otherwise stand in the way of the mob's Texas takeover plan.
So it's not just guns and muscle. It's sophisticated, high-level political coercion.
Yes.
Nasty stuff.
Extremely nasty and extremely effective.
Okay, so while Quaso starts gearing up to hunt Bolan down, Bolan has to deal with his new asset, Judith. He needs to shift from pure tactical strike to more strategic investigation.
Right. He knows Judith Klingman is the key. She holds the intel he needs about her father's business and why the mob wanted it. But she's completely incapacitated by the drugs.
He needs medical help.
Specialized help. So he tracks down and recruits a Dr. Paul Hensley. Interesting background, former Korean War corpsman, now a physician. Hensley is understandably wary, getting involved with someone like Bolan.
I bet.
But Bolan takes precautions, gives Hensley opaque black glasses for security, meets him discreetly in the back of his customized Econoline van, the War Wagon.
Bolan always understands the danger he puts his allies in.
Oh, yeah. He makes the doctor confront that reality head-on. Hensley examines Judith, confirms she's been held captive since January, frequent sedative injections just to keep her quiet. He gives Bolan the meds and instructions needed to counteract the drugs. Then Bolan takes over the nursing care himself.
And the sources mention his method for bringing her around. Cold shower, massage. Sounds pretty brisk.
Military efficiency. Cold shower, vigorous rubbing, massage whatever it takes to shock her system back to alertness. And it works fast because Judith Klingman, once she's clear-headed, turns out to be sharp, incredibly gutsy, and a really intelligent source of information.
She sounds like quite a character.
Definitely. A true Texas original. And Bolan, he doesn't strong-arm her. He respects her situation. He lays out what he calls a triple option.
Which is?
1, call the law. 2, try to contact her father, but risk getting recaptured immediately. Or 3, trust him, Bolan, which he admits is the toughest, most dangerous path.
And she chooses Bolan.
Instantly. Her response is just, I'll keep. That tells Bolan everything he needs to know. He's gained a crucial, trustworthy ally who understands the stakes. She gets the depth of the corruption in Texas.
Okay, so now he has Judith's initial intel. He needs to connect it to the bigger picture. He reaches out to his main intelligence contact, Leo Turin.
Right. His only real line to the outside world in many ways. Leo Turin looks like a Massachusetts underboss, but secretly he's an undercover federal agent. High-risk position for Turin.
What does Turin tell him? What's the counter-movement looking like?
Turin basically sounds the alarm, confirms Texas is hot, incredibly dangerous right now. Quaso is mobilizing, yes, but worse, national mafia forces are converging on the state specifically to hunt Bolan.
The national level is involved.
Deeply involved.
Yeah.
Turin specifically warns him about the formation of this new nationwide anti-executioner task force. They actually call it the Bolan Bunch.
Seriously, the Bolan Bunch.
Apparently so. Led by this rising star, a young Turk out of New Orleans, namely Leo. So Bolan's not just facing local Texas muscle anymore. He's up against the coordinated might of the entire Mafia Commissione, focused entirely on taking him down.
But Bolan, using the information he's getting from Judith, hits Turin back with something even bigger. This isn't just a turf war or revenge, it's a Texas takeover.
Yeah, this is the moment the whole scope of the story just explodes. Bolan explains Klingman Petro wasn't just bought out in some shady deal. It was acquired by a specific mob front company called International Bankers Holding Corporation, IBH.
Sounds legitimate.
Designed to. But Bolan reveals IBH is linked not just to the U.S. mob, but also to Mideast figures and French and Italian mob interests, too. This isn't just American organized crime anymore.
It's international. Geopolitical.
Exactly. It's a highly sophisticated global plot. They're using these legit-sounding corporations as a mask, a front, for an attempt to seize control of vital American energy resources.
The stakes just went from state level to national, maybe even global. Quasso's hunting him, Loleo and the Bolan bunch are inbound, and Bolan needs to disrupt things, buy time, shatter the conspiracy support structure. Which takes us to Section 3, Death in the Afternoon.
Right. Since the threat is now clearly statewide and institutional, Bolan realizes he needs to hit back in a way that reflects that scale. He needs to deliver a psychological shock across the entire state.
Maximum mobility required.
Maximum mobility. And Grimaldi comes through again, big time. He somehow procures a demilitarized jet fighter, calls it Amerijet Ferry 1, fast enough to let Bolan hit targets across the vastness of Texas in a single afternoon.
Using a jet fighter for targeted assassinations? The sheer audacity is incredible, just to rattle some teeth, as the source says. And these aren't low-level guys he's going after.
No, these are pillars, key figures in the institutional structure of the Texas Plan conspiracy. He's cutting off the head, or rather multiple heads.
Okay, walk us through the targets.
First, El Paso. He takes out Brigadier General Nathan R. Spellman, retired, former intelligence officer, now the security coordinator for Klingman Petro, also a consultant to state investigative agencies. This guy was the bridge between legitimate security structures and the mob's corporate front.
Critical link severed. Next.
Houston. He hits the global finance angle, Gerald Whitson, international financier, a director of that front company, IBH, also a partner in another key entity, Oil Field Research and Conservation, major political player.
How does he get Whitson?
Finds him during a massage. The source includes this chilling detail where Whitson tries to brag his way out of it, claiming he's as fit as a 20-year-old.
And Bolan's response?
Cold as ice. Not fit enough, Whitson. You didn't stay fit to live.
He's condemning the man's moral corruption, not his physical health. It underscores that this is judgment, not just killing.
Brutal. And the third hit?
Oskin. Thomas Kilcannon, Esquire. Prominent attorney, registered lobbyist for Oil Field Research. He's the legal architect, the guy greasing the wheels for the whole operation within the system. So, in one afternoon, military intelligence, international finance, and legal political influence decapitated.
Simultaneously. And to make sure the message gets through loud and clear, he leaves his calling card.
The medal.
A military marksman's medal, found clutched in each victim's hand.
What's the specific symbolism there? Why that medal?
It connects directly back to Bolan's own identity and his justification. He's saying these men were judged and executed according to the rules of war, not civilian law. The medal signifies essentially, by your own actions, you condemned yourselves.
He's framing it as a military operation against traitors.
Pretty much. He even justifies it in his own journal, reflecting something like, "This is war, no morality in warfare, let the world damn me, I did what had to be done." The hits are savage, yes, but he sees them as necessary tactical moves to create the chaos needed to get the next piece of intel.
And that chaos forces him back to Dallas, right? To Quasso's penthouse, the Citadel. Leo and the Bolan bunch are likely there or closing in. He needs the proof.
He needs the ledger, the financial blueprint. So he infiltrates Quasso's penthouse again, this time for the safe crack.
He's good with explosives.
A master, taught by his old, now deceased colleague, Boom Boom Hoffauer. He uses highly specialized charges, very precise demolitions, to blow the wall safe open without incinerating the contents. That's the key.
And he gets it.
Gets the black book, the ledger, detailing the entire Flag 7 operation plus packets of cash. He now has the complete financial map of the conspiracy.
But the most stunning part of this Dallas sequence isn't the safe cracking. It's the psychological warfare he unleashes next. The sniping challenge.
Oh, this is pure Bolan, pure psych out. He sets up on a distant rooftop across from the penthouse. He's got this massive .460 Weatherby rifle mounted on a tripod.
A .460 Weatherby. Isn't that like an elephant gun?
Exactly. It's a rifle designed for hunting the biggest and most dangerous game in Africa. By choosing that weapon, Bolan is sending a very clear symbolic message. He doesn't see Quasso and Lileo as enemy combatants anymore. He sees them as dangerous animals to be hunted.
And he calls them while aiming at them.
Gets him on the phone, calculates the bullet drop for the 900-meter shot, tells him exactly where he is, proving he can see them through his 20-power scope. Leleo tries to bluster, calls it childish bullshit, but you can tell they're terrified. Paralyzed.
And Bolan proves he's not bluffing.
He fires 10 rounds, not at them, but through the closed penthouse drapes right near where they are.
And the impacts.
They leave a perfect cross pattern on the wall right above Quasso's desk. The message is terrifyingly clear.
I can kill you whenever I want.
Precisely. It demonstrates his capability, his seeming omniscience, and it's profoundly demoralizing, the immediate result. Leleo and Quasso completely panic. They flee the penthouse, abandoning their command center in Dallas. Total chaos.
And Quasso meets his end later.
Yeah, the source mentions Quasso is later brought out as just blackened remains after Bolan delivers another unspecified haymaker attack. But the key victory here was routing Leleo and shattering their command structure in Dallas.
Okay, so Bolan has the ledger. He understands the full scope now. Which brings us to Section 4. The core conspiracy Flag 7 and the energy crisis. Let's really unpack this thing.
Right. This is where it shifts from, a mob war to a full-blown national security crisis. The true scale of the Texas plan, codenamed Flag 7, it comes out through the documents Bolan recovered from Arthur Klingman's briefcase, later confirmed by his federal contact, Brognola.
What was the twisted ideology behind Flag 7?
Well, it apparently started, or at least was sold to some people, as a kind of legitimate Texas independence movement. A way to fight back against the perceived exploitation of Texas resources by outside interests, Wall Street financiers, northern carpetbaggers, that old grievance.
But the mob warped it.
Completely.
Yeah.
The mob saw the potential and twisted that sentiment into a calculated, serious plot for the revival of the Republic of Texas, actual secession, independence.
And the basis for thinking that was even possible.
The economics.
The economics.
It's based on stark reality. Texas is, even today, arguably the world's richest political subdivision in terms of resources. Back then, it produced about a third of all U.S. petroleum, plus massive mineral wealth, agriculture, manufacturing.
So potentially self-sufficient.
The architects of Flag 7 believe so. They figured if they could seize control of those resources, Texas was powerful enough to go it alone, to become an isolated, independent nation.
But taking over a state, holding it against the U.S. government. That needs more than just resources. It needs leverage, blackmail.
Yeah.
How are they planning to do that?
The energy crisis. That was the weapon. The plan involved a swift political takeover, seizing control of the state economy, and then the critical step. Nationalizing the oil industry within Texas.
Isn't that?
Then they'd use that control over oil, deliberately creating or worsening an energy shortage as a weapon against Washington, D.C., blackmail the entire United States.
And this threat felt real at the time.
Oh, very real. Harold Brognola, Bolan's Justice Department contact, explicitly confirms to him that the national energy crisis is not manufactured, it's genuine. The potential for nationwide gas rationing was imminent. Flag 7 aimed to exploit that vulnerability to the absolute maximum.
Chilling. It sounds like a plot designed for maximum panic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just economic pressure, was it? There was a military component, too.
The paramilitary threat.
Yeah.
The muscle to enforce the secession. Grimaldi gets intel confirming a major Mafia staging area hidden near Klingman's wells. Under camouflage netting, the whole deal.
What was there?
Military-grade hardware. Armored cars, huge ammo dumps, massive stockpiles of crude oil, gasoline, jet fuel. This wasn't just a meeting place. It was the base for a private army, ready to secure the state once the political takeover began.
And they were linked into the actual energy infrastructure.
Yeah, that's another critical piece. A company called Pecos Conduit, Inc., confirmed as a subsidiary of that mob front, IBH was actively involved in rerouting major oil trunk lines, swapping out pumping stations.
So they weren't just planning to control the oil, they were physically altering the distribution network.
Exactly. Integrating themselves right into the state's energy bloodstream. Ready to turn off the taps or divert supply at a moment's notice, it showed incredible planning and infiltration.
Okay, but then there's the ultimate threat. The doomsday scenario, the thing that puts Bolan on that incredibly tight deadline.
Right. This is the final, terrifying kicker. Paramilitary teams, working under the mob's direction, were actively rigging oil wells across the entire state for self-destruct, sabotage on a massive scale.
And the Klingman lease itself.
The Klingman lease, the original target, was wired to be blown at dawn the next day, as a demonstration, proof of capability.
So the message was, interfere, send in the feds or the National Guard, and we blow the wells.
Exactly. If the U.S. government tried to intervene militarily, they risked triggering the coordinated destruction of potentially a third of the nation's domestic oil reserves. A catastrophe. That was the ultimate blackmail. Submit to Flag 7 or face economic and environmental devastation.
That is absolutely a national crisis. Unimaginable leverage. Bolan has to coordinate with the feds now, doesn't he? He meets Brugnola in Dallas.
He does. Bragnola's already in Texas with a large force of U.S. Marshals, confirming just how seriously Washington is taking the energy situation and the rumblings from Texas. Bolan hands over the proof, the documents, the ledger, what he calls the devil's truth from Klingman's briefcase. Makes it impossible for Brugnola to dismiss it as just mob activity.
And Bolan sets the deadline, based on the mob's own plan.
It started at dawn, referring to the initial Klingman's Wells attack. I expect to finish it by then. By the next dawn, before the wells are blown.
And Brugnola agrees to hold back his federal force.
Reluctantly, he sees the tightrope they're walking. If he moves too soon, the mob blows the wells. He agrees to hold his marshals back until dawn, giving Bolan that incredibly narrow window. Bolan's mission fundamentally shifts here. It's not just revenge anymore. It's national defense. His stated goal becomes save Texas for the same Texans. He has to neutralize that doomsday device before the feds are forced to act and risk catastrophe.
The clock is ticking down to dawn. Which brings us to the final section. Flashpoint burial at Klingman's Wells. Bolan races back, only to find his worst fear realized.
Yeah. He gets back to their temporary safe location, and Judith is gone, recaptured by Wolfer Tolucci.
Tolucci figured it out.
Tolucci, even wounded and operating on pure, animal cunning, he correctly deduced Bolan wouldn't leave Judith behind, that Bolan would have to come back for her. So he's laid a trap, turning Klingman's Wells into what the source calls an impregnable armed camp. Mined the runways, electrified the perimeter fence. He thinks he's got Bolan cornered.
Bolan needs a diversion, a big one, to get inside that fortress.
A massive diversion. And this is where the Klingman family, the father, finds his moment of redemption. Arthur Klingman, the old oil man himself.
What does he do?
He flies his own helicopter, this shiny red and white civilian chopper, right into the heart of the compound, lands it in the main yard under the floodlights, demanding his daughter back. It's this incredibly dramatic, almost suicidal gesture.
And it works. It draws their attention.
Completely. Tolucci, his guards, the Mafia hardliners protecting the control center, everyone's attention snaps to the front of the hacienda, to this crazy old man in the helicopter. It's the perfect distraction.
While everyone's watching the chopper drama, Bolan makes his move.
Executes this brilliant tactical infiltration. Grimaldi flies his chopper low over a new pipeline construction site nearby. Bolan does a running drop, landing hard in a deep, freshly dug trench for a new 3-foot diameter pipe.
Uses the trench for cover.
Exactly. Runs along the trench, then slips into the compound through an open section of that huge pipe. It leads him right into a half-finished pump station building inside the perimeter. He's in, armed, moving fast, and he's got less than 10 minutes on his internal clock to get to the control building and stop the detonation sequence.
Okay, the final assault. He hits the control building with his thunder punch.
Right. Disables the electronic alarms first, then just pure shock and awe, smoke bombs, percussion grenades to disorient, and then the roar of the .44 automag clearing the way. He engages the dozen or so Mafia hardliners Tolucci had stationed there specifically to protect the doomsday device controls.
But the main goal isn't just killing them, it's the device.
Absolutely. He fights his way through to the control room, finds the technician described as wearing white coveralls, and forces him at gunpoint to disable the system.
How does he disable it?
Makes the terrified technician physically rip out the entire control chassis for the doomsday device. But Bolan doesn't just trust that it's broken. No. He takes the chassis, throws it on the floor, and personally pumps 2 more rounds from the automag into it, smashes it beyond any possibility of repair. He needs absolute certainty that the statewide self-destruct signal cannot be sent. The wells are now safe.
Mission accomplished on the primary objective. But the fight inside Klingman's Wells isn't quite over. He still has to deal with Tolucci.
He confronts Wolfer Tolucci, finds him suffering badly from that earlier leg. Wound, the scatter load from Bolan's automag did massive damage. Bolan executes the wounded Tolucci, ends his suffering, ends his command. But this final kill serves one last crucial strategic purpose.
How so?
He immediately grabs Tolucci's radio. And using Tolucci's distinctive, gravelly voice, that basso growl, he creates the ultimate final misdirection.
He impersonates Tolucci on the radio.
Yes. Just as Lileo's transport plane, carrying the reinforcements, the elite Bolan bunch, is making its final approach to land at Clingman's Wells. Bolan gets on the radio, screaming hysterically as Tolucci, warning the incoming plane to wave off, that the runway is mined, don't land.
So confusion.
Total confusion. Lileo's pilot is getting conflicting signals, hears the panic in Tolucci's voice, hesitates, but ultimately commits to the landing, and the plane touches down right on the mine section of the runway.
Ooh.
Massive explosion. The Bolan bunch, the mob's entire national anti-executioner force, wiped out in a single brilliant trap sprung entirely by radio deception. Masterful.
Incredible. And the final piece, destroying all those paramilitary assets, the armored cars, the fuel dumps, that wasn't Bolan.
That was Arthur Clingman's contribution, his final act to bury Flag 7 for good. He reveals he didn't just fly in for his daughter. He stayed behind, used his intimate knowledge of his own facility's pipeline system.
What did he do?
He routed shipments of high explosives and incendiary materials through the operational crude oil pipeline that fed the nearby depot and staging area. He timed the flow perfectly.
So when Bolan was inside dealing with Tolucci,
The explosives reached the main distribution tanks and the vehicle's storage area at the depot, just as planned. A massive rolling inferno erupts. Flaming oil, secondary explosions, the entire staging area, all the armored cars, the ammo, the fuel, Lileo's crashed plane remnants, everything is consumed. A clean sweep.
wow, Father Clingman really did bury Flag 7.
Literally buried it in fire and thunder. Grimaldi swoops in, picks up Bolan and the Clingman's father and daughter, now reunited and safe, just as the whole depot goes up in this huge fireball. The conspiracy, the blackmail plot, the high command, the paramilitary force, annihilated. Bolan delivered his judgment, and Clingman provided the funeral pyre.
The Texas storm campaign is effectively over. Let's take a breath and reflect on the immediate aftermath. Bolan's internal tally. What did this operation achieve?
Well, from Bolan's strategic viewpoint, it was a complete success, almost textbook. The key figures, economic, political, intelligence behind Flag 7 were eliminated. The military assets backing the plot were destroyed. The mob's command structure in Texas, Quaso and Tolucci gone. Lileo's national force decimated. And crucially, the doomsday threat to the oil wells was neutralized right on the deadline, before dawn.
He met his objective. Perfectly timed.
Exactly. On time, under budget, so to speak.
And what did this chaotic success enable the legitimate authorities, Brognolo's forces, to do?
It gave them the opening they needed. Grimaldi picks up radio chatter almost immediately. Massive police raids are kicking off all across Texas, led by Brognola's federal marshals. Bolan's actions provided the critical intelligence and the cover of chaos necessary for the feds to finally move in and conduct that clean sweep he was hoping for.
So Bolan acted like the demolition charge, blasting the door open.
Right. Allowing the forces of actual law to finally flood in and start cleaning up the mess left by Flag 7's collapse.
After all that intensity, the source gives us this rare glimpse of Bolan, maybe, letting his guard down for just a second. He's in the helicopter. Judith Clingman sees he's bleeding.
Yeah, she's safe now, reunited with her father, and she notices Bolan is wounded, asks him what he needs.
And his response.
He's clearly exhausted, physically, mentally drained. He tells Grimaldi first, make sure the Clingmans get proper care. Then, when Judith presses him about his own needs, his answer is incredibly simple, incredibly human. He just says, what I really need is a good nurse, for about 3 days of RR.
Rest and recuperation. After saving potentially a third of the U.S. oil supply. Definitely earned. Okay, let's zoom out. Connecting this specific Texas campaign back to the bigger picture of Bolan's endless war. What's the key takeaway? What insight does this particular story offer?
I think the Texas storm really highlights the terrifying sophistication that modern, large-scale criminal enterprises can achieve. This wasn't just about, drugs or loan sharking. This was a concerted international effort to achieve political power by seizing control of critical resources, oil, in this case, and weaponizing global scarcity against a whole nation.
It's crime operating at the level of statecraft.
Precisely. And Bolan, by acting as this ultimate disruptive force, this one-man wrecking crew, he basically forced everyone involved, from the corrupt financiers like Whitson to the conflicted patriots like maybe Clingman initially was, to make a final choice. Either surrender to the legal system, flawed as it might be, or face his immediate summary judgment.
So while Bolan obviously didn't end the Mafia or solve the energy crisis, he neutralized this specific, incredibly dangerous threat. A threat that really revealed how fragile civilization can be when critical infrastructure, resource distribution, becomes the battleground for high-level corruption.
Exactly that. Bolan saved Texas, and perhaps the U.S., from this initial attempt at establishing a seventh flag, powered by oil blackmail. But the underlying issues, they don't go away. The energy crisis was real. Political corruption is always a risk. The desperate global competition for finite resources that makes places like Texas rich in what the world needs, perpetual targets for the next conspiracy, the next cannibalistic plot. The storm Bolan faced is over, but the potential for future storms, the war for control, that remains permanent.
A truly unsettling but probably accurate realization. Well, thank you for guiding us through this deep dive into Mack Bolan's legendary and brutal Texas storm campaign. Hopefully this gave you, our listeners, plenty to think about until our next deep dive.